switch it up, kind of switch it up. Uh, so, whew. I hope you guys can hear me. I hope y'all can hear me. I hope y'all can hear me. But good morning. First and foremost, good morning. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Um, if you notice the title, it says post walk. I just left the park and did my walk, but I felt like I was ready to challenge myself, and my body felt like it was ready. So I did that. I did a thing. So I noticed that my conditioning is becoming stronger. My endurance is becoming stronger. And my walks for the most part had been becoming more brisk. And for those of you who had been rocking with me when I was doing my walks, one of my short-term goals was to start back running, and I said that in the near future I was going to start incorporating running in my walks. Hey, Skokahoney. Hey, sis. So I was going to, start incorporating running in my trail. And so today was that day. And so what I did was, while I was walking, thank you. I'm putting in the work, sis. I'm putting in the work. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so while I was walking, along the trail, there's like a series of light posts. And so what I did was I would reach a post and I would start jogging from that post and up until the next two posts. So that was probably maybe 40 seconds, I believe, between those posts. And then I would stop, and I wouldn't come to a complete stop, but I would bring myself back down to a brisk walk and keep that pace. So it's like I'm running, active rest, running, active rest, running, active rest. And so that's what I have been doing. And because of that, today, obviously I didn't die. But did you die? No, I did not. But I did shave off 5 minutes on my time because of that. So I am very happy. I am very proud of myself. I definitely feel myself coming back to the old me as far as my workouts, my walking, my training, my cardio, and everything like that. So I know for sure as of now I am above 10,000 steps. And so on my active days, I try to bank at least 10,000 steps. And then on my non-active days, I try to at least, if not get halfway through, get somewhere close to that. So yeah, so that's what I had been doing and what I had been up to. So I may start going live after my workouts, after my running, and shoot, who knows? I just might do it while I'm running. It's probably gonna be a funny point of view from you guys' perspective, because I probably be going up and down like that with the camera and stuff. But yeah, so I decided to take the scenic route home. I'm done with my workouts for today, and so I'm going to get home, shower up, cook me a little breakfast, and I got some salmon and some shrimp that's frozen, so I'm gonna let that thaw, and when I wake up, go ahead and start prepping my burrito bowls. And I had been meaning to do that for the last couple of days, but because I had food left over and some other stuff that still, keep me in my caloric range, I'm good. I'm good with that, and I'm not going over my deficit. It says, can you add me as a moderator? Gavin Downing, I don't know you. So I can't add you as a moderator if I don't know you. Sorry. But I gotta at least know you, know who you are, and most definitely trust you to give you that type of privilege, Nah, I can't give it to everybody now. Nah. And then this is my first time ever seeing you on my live, unless it's been a little minute. But yeah, it's my first time seeing you, so nah, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, so as far as my training days this week, because my trainer is leaving to go to Jamaica with his wife for their wedding anniversary, my training days this week was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, as opposed to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so I got it all knocked out. Yeah, the workouts, he didn't let up. That's one thing he ain't gonna do. He ain't gonna let up. But I got it in. I do think I'm probably going to add in a yoga or Pilates, maybe a dance workout in. I am way past overdue for Zumba. And I got some training that came in through my Zen accounts. So yep. Make sure ain't nothing coming. So I'm looking at this. It says, are there Iranians in America? I guess so. I'm pretty sure there are. I know, I don't know if they got anything to do with Palestine, but I know every now and again they have been like having some Palestinian protests and stuff like that. I think that's a totally different country, but yeah. But I'm pretty sure there are some Iranians in America. So I mean, America's a melting pot. You got some of everybody up in here. Africans, Asians, Australians, Egyptians, Iranians, Arabs, it's some everybody in these here states. Mexicans, Brazilians. Yeah. It's a lot of beautiful people in America. Stop sign. Stay right there, little Jeep. I got the rights of way. I guess I can play a little bit of music. It'll probably be nah, I ain't gonna do it, because if I do, of course, YouTube hit me, as far as the whole copyright, copyright junk. But then again, Fuse University, good morning. Salute. I am headed home from my workout and my morning walk / run. So for the first time in years, I actually did some running, and I am proud of me. So I'm going to build that momentum up until I get stronger with that, and who knows, shoot, I'll get back to back to running 5Ks and stuff like I used to. But I did pretty good today. I'm proud of me. I am proud of me. And it's 8:36 in the morning, so that's what I love the most about getting these workouts in and over with and out the way. So enjoy it while I can, because the kids go back to school in about 3 or 4 weeks. Kids go back to school. I am not looking forward to that. I'm probably the only parent that that do not want my kids to go back to school. Will not be mad if they didn't go to school. However, of course, I care very much about their education. That's for sure. But as far as having to get up and drop them off and then try and get a workout in, try and get a nap in, because I work third shift, and then having to get back up and sit an hour in the pickup line to get in a good spot to pick them up from school, and then having to come home and trying to get dinner started, then try to get another nap so I can get up and go to work. So but working days do not sound like a bad idea at this point in time. But I said I wanted to wait until my kids got in middle school before I consider switching shifts and bidding on the shifts in my job description. And so, but who knows? Shoot, if the opportunity even comes up early, shoot, I just might take it. Hey, you never know what God has in store for you. And of course, I've always been a firm believer in moving on His time. So I gotta tighten up my mount, because it's leaning and stuff. Let's see. Okay. It says, politicize the discussion, but what is your personal opinion? Are you pro-Iran or pro-Israel? I am pro-minding my business. My personal opinion, I am pro-minding my business. I definitely want the war to stop. I don't like the thought of anyone losing their lives for whatever reason, and my biggest prayer is that that they come to an agreement, and be at peace, so that's as real as I can get, straight, no chasing, no gray areas with me. Hey, Emmanuel. So that's why I am with that. I am pro minding my business, because on the real, we in the United States got a whole lot of bigger problems that we need to face and work on and resolve in our own backyard than to be, sticking our noses in what's going on overseas. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about that. As far as the crime, gun violence, these kids out here losing their dead gun minds, doing stupid stuff, with no regard for, nobody's lives, and definitely no regard for their lives, because for some odd reason they think they're invincible and don't realize that they're, a second away from, having a bullet, getting a bullet in their eye. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at that. People getting jobs, people, working and stuff like that. The nutrition in America, as far as the, food and stuff like that. The medical, the medical industry and all that stuff. We got way too much stuff that we need to be worried about over here. So yeah. That's how I feel about that. So I pray. Oh, when that Dollar General closed, man, that Dollar General's been closing around here like left and right. But yeah, I am not gonna go that way, because I will have to go under that taxiway, and if I do, that's going to disrupt the signal, and I don't want to do that. So we definitely need to stay out. Exactly. We need to stay out of other people's wars. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got nothing to do with us. They ain't got nothing to do with us. And, and of course, I definitely pray that they come to an agreement, and proclaim peace. That's for sure. But yeah, I am pro minding my business. Especially considering like what I was saying, like stuff we got going on in our own, in our own front yard. Like case in point, Adriana Smith, the young lady that's only 9 weeks pregnant now. 9 weeks pregnant. That's like 2 months and a week pregnant. Goes to the hospital for severe headaches. And they sent her home, with some medicine and all, take this medicine, blah, blah. They didn't do no further testing. And her fiance wakes up to her, practically taking her last breaths. You know what I'm saying? And when they got to the hospital, then they wanted to, do a CT scan, and come to find out she had blood clots in her brain. Pretty much she had aneurysms. And because of that, she was proclaimed brain dead. And so because of this, whatever bullshit law in Georgia, this anti-abortion law or whatever, they decided to turn her into a fleshy incubator, for the sake of saving that fetus's life. Mind you, she was only 9 weeks pregnant when she died. Keep it real, when she died, she was already dead. And they kept her on life support for what was 22 more weeks. Mind you, the girl is dead. But because they want to save the life of this fetus, like I said, at 9 weeks pregnant, the fetus is probably that big. You know what I'm saying? That big. And of course, most definitely, if she were to pass on, or even if the pregnancy would have self-terminated, that would have been a miscarriage. You know what I'm saying? And that's when a lot of women, when they are pregnant, they do not announce the pregnancy until after 12 weeks, after 3 weeks pregnant, because at those that first 12 weeks, they are at a much higher risk of having a miscarriage. So they wait, until they get out of that out of their critical zone before they do announce, the pregnancy and things like that. But they did not, of course, the girl, she's no longer here. at this point. No no brain function, no motor skills, no nothing. She's there. She's just there. Just a corpse, practically. But they turned her into a human, fleshy incubator because of that, and they got her on life support, pretty much machines just breathing for her, and they're feeding her artificial nutrition and stuff like that, so they can grow this baby up until the fetus is up at a safer gestation period, so they can dissect her, because she did not deliver that baby. She was dissected. She was practically a freaking biology experiment. She was pretty much a frog, you know what I'm saying, on the biology table, and they dissected her. That's pretty much what they did. You know what I'm saying? Or like a lot of people said, it was an autopsy. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's messed up because they wouldn't allow her family to have a say. Now, mind you, your family, your next of kin, in the event something happens to you, that's your power of attorney. That's your voice if you don't have a voice anymore. And they just completely disregarded them for this so-called law. And pretty much just forced her to stay out of the ground. Mind you, the family is grieving. Their daughter, she already had a son, so their mother, sister, already gone. And no way of coming back. And they got to go to this hospital and just sit there with her as she is, as they're, prolonging the inevitable. Mind you, she's out of the ground. She's dead. She's decomposing slowly but surely. You know what I'm saying? Because you can only keep a body from decomposing for so long. And then by the time she got to, I think, like 21 weeks, I think, don't give me the line to you, and then they finally, cut the baby out of her, and the baby was like a pound and stuff like that. So, stuff like that. And, in America that, and it was fucked up, but yeah. So that's my take on all of that. And I pissed a lot of people off. I had pissed a lot of people off on TikTok. When it came down to the singer Kat Janice. She had I want to say she had terminal brain cancer, I want to say. And she was on hospice, home hospice, and her days were winding down. And so she had this song that what she did was she signed over the rights to her 7-year-old son. So any revenue from the streams and the downloads and things like that goes to him after her passing. And so I guess on Instagram she followed a page or whatever, and I guess it was an Israel page. Like I said, don't give me the line to you. And they were saying that she was supporting something. I forgot. But my whole thing was, I'm a mother. She's a mother. So of course, one of the biggest things that I pray is that I, do not leave this earth, Lord willing, while my kids are still kids. And so the fact that she, that her time was near, of course I supported, I did a video to a song, stuff like that, and they were like, oh well, you're supporting this person, she's da 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 da. And I'm like, bruh, I don't give a damn about what she liked, who she followed. Like, I don't care about none of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care about none of that. you know, and then of course they love to debate. Well, as a mother, don't you care about about the children and blah blah blah? I'm like, of course I do, but at the same damn time, I'm more concerned about my kids here. You know what I'm saying? In my house. Prayers to to them and their families, but what's the point of me worrying about something else when I got my own shit going on here? You know what I'm saying? So nah, minding my own business. I'm minding the business that pays me, and on top of that, what they eat don't make me shit, and vice versa. Let's see, said pass that stupid ass abortion law yet never addressed black women's mortality rates when it comes to pregnancies. Yeah, discussing the races for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely, and it's always been the unfortunate when it comes down to women in pregnancies. We are not listened to, and if you don't stand your ground and literally be a bitch about it, since they love calling us that when we do stand firm in our beliefs or what we want and things like that. So I mean, if that makes us a bitch, so be it. But yeah. Everyone cares about children everywhere. These people are stupid and they have no empathy. Right. And we got these kids here, these YNs out here with these pooh shiesties, you know what I'm saying, robbing folks and stealing cars and all types of crazy stuff. Like Scope was live last night, and in Milwaukee, this YN, I guess, walked up, inside the gas station, suspicious as hell, and then swiped this woman's, I guess, designer glasses off her face. And and when her man, stood up for her, the little coward ass bastard, want to point the blicky at him. The fuck? Like, no. And the unfortunate about Tennessee is that Tennessee doesn't really have a stand your ground law. Tennessee doesn't have a stand your ground law. It doesn't have a law where it allows you to protect your property. So if we fight back, we're gonna get in trouble for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's fucked up. And we are tired of it. We are, sick and tired of it. We sick of it. We sick of it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like we're just sitting here, sitting ducks, and just having to lay down, like some little punk. You know what I'm saying? But after a while, it's gonna take that one person that's gonna get tired of, it's gonna get fed up, and somebody's child gonna end up being in the ground. And on the real, I'm not gonna feel not a lick of sorry for them. The person I will feel sorry for it is their parents. It is their family that are affected by it, because and then the thing about it is, with a lot of parents out here, there are great parents out here that are raising their kids right, but unfortunately we can't keep an eye on them 24/7. We don't know what they're doing while we're at work, or what I'm saying, or we sending them to school and we're expecting them to go to class and learn and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So and because I seen it firsthand where a child went astray. My brother, rest his soul, my mom raised all of us right. She raised us right, with morals. She kept us in church, things like that. You know what I'm saying? Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, with respect and everything. But my brother, he, being the only boy, didn't just really have a strong male figure in his life. I mean, of course, my dad was there. My dad was there, my brother-in-law, things like that. But he's the only boy, you know what I'm saying, out of 5 kids. So it's like he just didn't really have that, have that brotherly figure or whatever. And so when he started making friends, he became a lot more influenced by them and stuff like that. And on top of that, he was adopted. So I guess kind of had this mentality that was developed after one realizing he was adopted, and then after it being revealed that he was adopted, and then two, his best friend was all up in his head, telling you, oh, well, she ain't your mama and blah 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 blah. And I used to beat his ass every time I saw him, because I'm like, bruh, don't be telling my brother that stupid shit. And and then I would beat his ass, and in my front yard. but as we became adults, we all graduated high school, but as we became adults, he had started getting into trouble. And as a result of him getting into trouble and stuff like that, he had been in and out of jail and stuff like that. And and then finally, he stayed out of trouble and stopped going to jail. But unfortunately, some of his habits he couldn't shake, especially after my parents passed. And unfortunately he died of an overdose. So yeah, so I'm not blaming the parents or lack thereof, because there's a lot of parents out here that are doing what they're supposed to do. But when you become of age, you make your own decisions. And that was something that I had to explain to my mom at a particular point in time, where the police had picked up my brother for whatever warrant he had at the time. And she was trying to figure out what she went wrong. And I told her, I said, Mama, you did your job. You raised us right. You kept us in church. You made sure that we graduated. Mario, it's my brother's name. Mario is a grown man. He's an adult. So, so whatever this, mistakes or decisions, whatever he made, that was, solely on his thing. Oh my God, slow walking guy. I am so sorry to hear that. Prayers for you. Prayers for you and your family. Even worse, in California, you damn near have to let them kill you before you defend yourself. And see, and that's the thing, here in Memphis, no, we're not gonna let that happen. The thing about us in Memphis, what we not gonna do, for the most part, oh, excuse me, we gonna fight for ours. We gonna fight for ours. So no, we ain't, we not gonna sit down and no. I mean, we'll fight to the best of our abilities to what to what we to what we can do, and what we're able to do. But nah, but that's definitely the unfortunate when it come to stuff like that. And even though I don't have a weapon, I don't carry, and I pray that I don't have to get to that point, because I'm not a big fan of having guns myself in the house. Not that I would be irresponsible for it, but I just don't want one, period. I just really don't. I just really don't. But push come to shove, if I have to, then I don't know. But if I can, I don't want no gun. Nah, I don't want no gun. But yeah, slow walking guy. Yeah, I am so sorry to hear that. Yeah, my prayers are definitely with you. My kid's grandmother, my fiance's mom, she passed last month. I don't know if I had told you guys or not, but yeah, but she had passed last month on the 4th, and her birthday was July 4th. So so being there for him, It's, kind of just, being that support system. Because I definitely know firsthand, you know, what that's like, losing both my parents, and the feelings that you go through, from the separation aspect, from her, transitioning. And then of course you got the funeral planning, which is, I tell people all the time, and even if, the person's condition is terminal, even though you're aware of the ultimate, you're still not going to be ready for that transition, for that earthly separation. um and also too, you got the whole stresses of planning the funeral. If there's not a pre-need already, already in place, any type of plan, where you gotta plan the services, the burial, pick out the caskets, then you gotta go get the clothes and make sure it's the right size, and wigs, and if it's needed, and all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely, I say that first 2 weeks, it's definitely going to be a roller coaster of emotions. And then of course too, considering the family, how the family is acting, if they're planning, and all that type of stuff. And I would be the first to tell you, funerals, it will definitely bring out the worst in some people. And if you do have those types in your family, Jesus Christ, whoo, that is all I can say. Yeah. But thank you, Emmanuel. So lost. Yeah, I understand. Trust, I understand. I understand completely. And so when it comes to stuff like that, I don't, aside from me, extending my condolences and my prayers, I don't really just say too much, as far as giving advice or trying to give words of comfort and stuff like that, because everybody grieves differently. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody have different faiths. And so I'm not one of those types to be like, oh, she's in a better place, or oh, she God makes no mistakes, or oh, all that type of stuff. No, I'm just, I extend my prayers, and I extend my thoughts and my condolences, and I leave it at that. I leave it at that, because everybody grieves different. And then on top of that, you don't know how people's mental is, how their mentality is, when it comes to processing that. And so they was at the hospital with, I see, exactly. So I seen it. Yeah, I seen it firsthand. I saw it with my granddaddy when he passed. When my granddaddy passed, my mom had just left the hospital. She had just left the hospital. And when my granddaddy was in the hospital, she was there every day. And that one day, she decided to go, just to kind of, unwind, just kind of unwind, just kind of relax and stuff like that. And she went to the casino, and maybe 20-30 minutes later, he was gone. And so unfortunately, because my mom didn't have a cell phone, and mind you, Tunica is 45 minutes outside of Memphis, so it's like a long ass drive. So we had no other ways of contacting her. And then on top of that, we didn't want to even bother with calling the casino to try and get, pager, so we could, so she can tell us what's going on, because we didn't want her, trying to come back in a frenzy on the highway, and then, we end up crashing. Anything could happen. So, so we were there, and so we all were there, me and my sisters, some of my cousins came, and so my auntie came. And Lord Jesus, and this is my my I had two aunties left, so my baby auntie, she was there, she was the one that was on watch, and she stepped out, for a cigarette break, and so my other auntie, she came up there and just barged in like she, like she in control, and she calling the shots and stuff like that, and the staff was like, I'm sorry, but we don't know you, we don't know who you are, and unfortunately, and even though I'm sorry for your loss, we can't just, we can't go by, your words and things like that, because my mom, because Mrs. Bowdry is the, is the one that we speak to, power of attorney, stuff like that. And she was like, oh, well, I'm his real daughter, they ain't his real daughter, and blah 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 blah, and this and that. Oh my gosh, she was going on. And now me and my sisters, we ready to squabble, because now we sitting here like, look, bitch, what the fuck you not gonna do is disrespect our mama, in front of us, trying to show your ass, because you at the right place at the right time right now to get your ass beat and put in the room. A matter of fact, just lay you in the bed next to him. You know what I'm saying? So now, but yeah, and so my pastor, came, we did the prayer and stuff like that, and she was still kind of, well, I called the funeral home and they said we did right and blah blah, and that's it, and I'm done, da 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 da. But yeah, but I think my oldest sister, she had signed the papers to release my granddaddy into the care of the funeral home and stuff like that. But baby, and so mind you, my granddaddy, he passed like around 3 something. My mama didn't get home till like 6:30, and we all was sitting in the living room just waiting. And when she walked in, and we told her what happened, and and she was kind of beating herself up about that, and we was like, and we told her that, hey, you did, pretty much from the time he was there in the hospital, you did what you were supposed to do, and it just wasn't meant for you, to be there when it happened. We can't, and then even if she was there, when like it wasn't anything that she could have done to stop it, so it was just inevitable. But yeah, and then of course with my brother, y'all already know the story about my brother. You know what I'm saying? When my brother passed, and then of course, you got, us planning the service, and stuff like that, and then you got his so-called friends or whatever, we're finding out about the, the circumstances in which how he died. And then the way we found out, the shit hit social media before any of us was even notified. And then of course went down to the planning and writing obituary, stuff like that. And now here come his birth family and his birth mother, are we gonna, can you add this person? Can you add that person? Can you add that person? And when I'm saying, we sitting there like, look, we not adding no more damn changes to this. We got to get this stuff to the printer. We got deadlines. Look, if you ain't in there or whoever ain't in there, you just shit out of luck. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, you wasn't in his damn life since he was a goddamn baby. So why the fuck are you even asking, to even have an opinion? You know what I'm saying? Just show up, just show up, cry, and go about your goddamn business. You know what I'm saying? Oh, but yeah, I most definitely know firsthand, and Jesus, I know one thing. I told my brothers, my brother's cremated, so his urn is in the his urn is in my house right now, and baby, I told my brother, I said, look, let me tell you something. Don't you die no more. Don't you die no more. I'm not doing this with you. No. And because I was the first one at the scene, I was listed as the next of kin in the report. So as far as everything, the autopsy report, having him released from the medical examiner and stuff like that. I had to do all of that. I did all of that, and then of course my sister and I went, shopping and got his clothes. We picked out, the order services, and the rental casket, and yeah, and I wrote the obituary, and then I delivered the eulogy too. But yeah, it's like, I don't know why everybody wants to show that as someone passes away. Yeah, and it's like it's a lot of things, either people don't know how to process their grief, or they're guilty. That's definitely a big thing. It's definitely more guilt than anything when it comes to stuff like that. When people weren't shit, in their lives and stuff like that, and now all of a sudden they dead, and they're like, oh my God, and oh, I'm falling out of cancer, and Lord take me now. Like, sit your ass down. You look, you look, your ass stole from Big Mama. The fuck you crying for? Sit your ass down somewhere. Yeah. But yeah, buddy. It's like everybody wants to be relevant and wants to be seen and wants to have a say. And nah, man, sit down somewhere. We'll tell you, when the funeral is, what time it is. You just show up and pay your respects, or just don't come at all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, buddy. But yep, and even with my mother-in-law, my fiance was telling me that that her sister was kind of acting like that a little bit too, and it was frustrating, his dad, and them as well, and it's like, I understand that, she kind of, she wants her to be remembered, a certain way and stuff like that, but now, that's not her place, by law, that's not her place. That's up to your dad and y'all, so but overall, the service was nice. Service was nice and everything like that. And then we found out that his sister is my sister-in-law is pregnant, and she's expecting another boy that's going to be here around my birthday in March. So yeah, so when my mother-in-law passed, she was either already pregnant or they had just conceived. So yeah. So yep. And I was telling my sister that probably explained why she broke down the way she did, considering that, that her mom is now gone, and now she's about to, have another child, and she's not here, which is something I also know and understand, because I had my kids years after my mom passed. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I definitely know all that too well. But yeah, but enough of my rambling and stuff like that. But yeah, but definitely my thoughts and prayers go out, out to your family though. So, but yep. It is 9:15 and I am at home, and I think I'm one of these days I do want to do a live about that though. As far as grief, and maybe have a panel or something like that, and have people come up and kind of share their experiences and their stories, and and maybe even and maybe give, extend a word, give a word, a word of advice, or just just some comfort, to other people that are grieving, or don't know what to do and things like that, and see in a way I call it an adjustment, because in that transition, it's like, now you have to adapt to life without that person. Whatever is in the norm, you're unable to call them anymore. Of course, holidays are definitely not going to be the same. And if they were ill, and whatever regimen, you had, like with my mom, like my mom was in hospice. And so of course, she was at hospice, and we took care of her around the clock, and had our days, stuff like that. And so my mom passed on a Saturday, and so my day to take care of her was that Sunday. So that Sunday, I ain't gonna lie, I was like damn, like I don't even, like, wow, like this was supposed to be my day, and like now I'm free and I don't even know what to do with myself. So yeah, so it's definitely an adjustment, definitely an adjustment. So well, I'm glad I was able to help Slow Walking Guy. I'm definitely glad of that. And I definitely, people have reached out to me, regarding that, as far as, even if, they just needed to vent, and, I was, there to listen, or if they asked me anything, or they asked, like, so how did you feel, or, what were your feelings? And I told them, yeah, I was, this, that, I was this, that, and the third. When this happened, honestly, I didn't want to be bothered with, it's like, like a lot of stuff. And the way so I handle my mom was one way, and then my dad was like a totally different thing, and because I was already experienced, with my mom, with my dad, I just kind of kept it, I wasn't as transparent about it. I didn't want to talk about it, because with my mom, I was very transparent about that, because of course a lot of people knew my mom, church family, some of her co-workers, my friends, that I grew up with, and then of course my family members. So of course, I was kind of keeping everybody updated, through my page on Facebook. And so after a while, there will be times where, like, I didn't want to be bothered with. I didn't want to talk to nobody, or I didn't want nobody coming asking me, oh, how is she doing, and what's the status, and oh, I'm praying for you and stuff. Look, thank you, but I just don't want to hear that right now. I don't want to be bothered with right now. Just, respectfully leave me alone. And so with my dad, I didn't say anything until we actually got the confirmation that his condition was irreversible. And we waited till my sister came home from Waterford, Michigan, before we decided to remove him from life support. And I announced his transition, but I also announced what was going on, and his transition. So nobody knew anything until after he passed, because I was like, I don't want to, I don't want to, just, go, come forward with this. And on top of that, at the time, we, kind of was under the impression that he had a fighting chance, that he probably would have had a fighting chance to, beat the cancer, with treatment, or at least, to just extend his life a little bit further. But he ended up getting pneumonia and had the fluid around his heart, and that was what happened. That was what caused his cardiac arrest. And because my dad was 80, the cardiac arrest was just that bad, to where everything was with him was irreversible. But yeah, she lived with me, so confused. Yeah. And I was still staying at home with my parents. So yeah, I was still staying at home with my parents, and my room was right next door to my mom's. So yeah, I definitely I definitely know and understand all of that completely. What I will say, slow walking guy, um right now, those feelings, just let it flow. Let it happen. You're gonna have, you're gonna have those moments. You're gonna be confused, you're gonna be lost, and pretty much until after the service, you're kind of gonna be like in this daze, like in this daze, in this void. I'm not gonna say purgatory, but it's like it's like you're there, but you're not there. You know what I'm saying? And so you're definitely going to you're definitely gonna have those feelings. You're gonna have those feelings where where the slightest thing, you're gonna break down, or if somebody hugs you, you're gonna break down, or just you may smell something, you're gonna break down, or if you hear something, you're gonna break down. All that stuff, just let it flow. And just and take it a day at a time. um it's definitely going to be, it's definitely going to be a journey for a little bit. Yeah, you're definitely going to go through for a bit. So don't try and fight it. I'm not going to tell you not to cope. I'm not going to tell you that, because everybody grieves and copes differently. So I'm definitely not going to, definitely not going to tell you not to do that. Because I ain't going to lie, like when my mom passed, she passed, I passed out. I'm a person, I'm the type of person, like, if there's something weighing real heavy on me, or if I'm like seriously upset or depressed, it's like I sleep. And that was exactly what happened. Like my mom, after the funeral home came and picked her body up, I went in my room, closed my door, went to sleep. Like I was just so drained to where I slept. And I had slept so hard that when I woke up, hell, I didn't even realize it was still the same day. I and my ex had dropped by, because he heard and was coming to check on me, and I didn't even realize that was him. I was just standing there and just whole days talking to someone, and I looked at him, and I was like, oh shit, like, I am so sorry. Like, I didn't even realize I was talking to him. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, and then after the service was over, and we had the repast at my church, and then we had the second repast, where everybody came and came to my parents' house. And again, I went in my room and put my comfortable clothes on and went to sleep. And I didn't wake up until like I think the next day, I think. So yeah, it's, yeah, so in time, yeah, in time, it's going to be okay. And that's the best way I'm going to put it. In time, it's going to be okay. You know right now, I already know how you feeling. So yeah, that's the best way. I'm gonna tell you, in time, in time. But right now, you know uh give in to those emotions, and those feelings and things like this. So yeah, it's going to be a trip, at least for the first year. It's going to be a trip, because you got the holidays, you got the birthdays, and in any type of traditions and things like that. So yeah, so it's going to be a trip for that first year, the first year, first 2 years, depending on how you are with it. I was to a degree at peace when my mom passed, because one, she had already been saying, you know, she was ready to go home. She was ready to be with God. She was ready to be with her mom and things like that. And then of course she was always giving us those, you know, when when I leave here, you know, y'all gonna do this, or you know, all that type of stuff. So, and we were like, bro, you know, why you keep saying this? Like, look, you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere no time soon. Like, look, you know what I'm saying? But you know, but she did prepare us, and then too, given the last the last years of her life, the last 10-15 years, I should say. We were very active, very involved in church, and my mom was the usher board president, and that was her ministry, that was her baby. So, and she even told us then, you know, she was like, you know, something happened to me, y'all buried me in my usher uniform. And I'm like, oh, excuse, I'm like, what do you mean bury you in your usher? Like, really? Like, all them beautiful suits you got, you want to be buried in that old plain thing? Like, really? But that was her wish, and that was her ministry, and we honored that. And also too, she wanted to be carried to her final resting place, like the Imitation of Life. So we were able to deliver, to deliver for her. And so we definitely believe that, you know, she's proud of us. But yeah, but yeah, I'm definitely here, slow walking guy. I don't know if you follow me on IG, and you know, and if you just need, you know, just need to vent or whatever, you know, shoot me a text, shoot me a DM, you know, and I'll definitely you know, give you any advice and any questions, you know. Yeah. So I most definitely know and understand all too well. All too well. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna tell the mods as well. Um, you know, I'm gonna let the mods know as well. And Sco, to keep you, you know, to keep you lifted in prayer, you know, for your for your family. Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna do that. So let's see. LOL 24 crazy PP. Hi. How you doing? Yep, so it is 9:30, and I am going to go ahead and get up off of here. I've been on here for an hour now, hour 3 minutes. Go ahead and get up off of here so I can shower up and fix me something to eat and take a little nap. But yeah, but as far as my little update regarding what I did today, you know, if y'all can rewind it a little bit, pretty much in a nutshell, I did a bit of running today. I did a bit of walking, I did a bit of running, and shaved 5 minutes off of my time. So pretty much, yeah. But yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and log off. Like I said, slow walking guy. You know, I'm on IG. If you ever want to reach out, also on Facebook, Latoya Bowdre, BOWDRE. You know, you'll see me. You'll see me. I'm on you know, IG and Facebook, and stuff like that. And I'm gonna let Sco and the mods know, to keep you in, you know, keep you in their prayers. But yeah, but y'all have a great day. Seeing that I got my training days out the way, I honestly don't know if I will hit the park or not, or if I just do an impromptu live, depending on how I'm feeling. If not, we'll definitely do this again, we'll do this again Monday. Next week we'll be back, back to the regular schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But thank you guys for stopping by. Love you guys. I will see y'all later. So I'm counting down in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you guys, Slow Walking Guy. Like I said, my prayers are with you and your family. Love you, bro. And see y'all later. Bye.